Welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Garrett Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor PHNX. This man in the box next to me, way hotter than I am, both in looks and in temperature, the one and only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman, my vice mayor. Jesse, what a win tonight. The Diamondbacks come back with a 5-run ninth inning to win this game against the Royals, taking this series 2-1. Pretty impressive night, pretty impressive comeback victory for a team that hasn't been able to put too many of those together this year, at least as far as those late inning comebacks.
Yeah, this was shaping up to be one of the more frustrating losses of the year for the Diamondbacks, right? I mean, you're down 4-3 going into the ninth inning. The D-backs had multiple opportunities to score. They had a runner at second, nobody out. In the eighth inning, they had a runner at second, nobody out. Earlier in the game, in the fifth inning, were not able to capitalize. They scored 3 runs, all of which came on solo homers, and yet they were still down by a run. It was pretty brutal up to that point, Derek, and it looked like it might end that way until Gabriel Moreno showed that he had other plans in that ninth inning, coming through with a big 2-run double. Ketel, of course, puts the exclamation point on it with a 3-run homer. And Paul Sewald did make things a little bit interesting there in the bottom of the ninth, but the D-backs come away with an 8-6 win.
Well, and it's interesting because Ketel Marte's home run didn't seem as necessary in the moment, but with the way things went for Paul Sewald in the bottom of the ninth, it was very necessary. We needed that very much so in a close game that might have been tied had it not been for Ketel Marte, and just everything that happened here for the Arizona Diamondbacks late. Like, this was an impressive comeback victory. Their offense, of course, got out ahead with Geno giving the Snakes an early lead with a solo home run in the second inning. That was his 12th dinger of the year. At the time, before this game had started, Michael Wacha had only given up single-digit home runs this year, Jesse. It was 9 home runs prior to this game, but the Diamondbacks changed that. That was his 10th home run allowed. Suarez now has the second most RBI in the National League since July 7th. So Geno, as bad as he has been at times this year, has been very good lately.
He really has. Yeah. I mean, Geno, and it feels like a lot of those hits that he's had over these last few weeks have been really important hits too. And that was the case in this game as well. I mean, it was early in the game. It feels like kind of a distant memory at this point, but it broke a scoreless tie. And that's something we've seen from Geno a lot here recently, where D-backs might not be scoring a ton of runs, but a Geno homer, has come in some really timely situations. And he just looks like a different hitter up there. He's able to really punish those mistake pitches in a way that he was not able to do earlier in the season. And, there's still going to be some strikeouts. There's still going to be some ugly swings from time to time. I mean, that's kind of what you're signing up for with Geno Suarez.
Yeah.
You're going to get that. But he also has come through in some really big spots, and he got the offense going for the D-backs in this one.
Someone asked if I am in a cave. Yes, I'm in a cave filled with video games and comic books. That's where my cave is. Jesse, of course, is in the beautiful Studio K presented by our friends at Circle K, and he has a much better snack selection in his cave. But Jesse, this D right here on this hat, the D in D-backs, it stands for dingers, guy, because the Diamondbacks hit a lot of them tonight. Jock Peterson gets career home run number 200. I was going to say home run number 200, but that would be some sort of record. He gets career home run number 200 with a solo home run in the fourth inning. He had been stuck on 199 since July 5th. So it's been almost 20 days for him going from 199 to 200. And yet I still didn't have that graphic ready, with all that time I had, still didn't have that graphic ready. But the Royals seemed to answer back, though, every time the Diamondbacks kind of took a lead, the Royals had an answer there. And of course, things kind of went sideways for the Diamondbacks a couple of times. It really did feel like this was going to be one of those close games that they lost. And instead, the Diamondbacks, found a way there to get back, late. But Ryne Nelson didn't have his best stuff today. Neither did the defense.
Yeah, Nelson was he was just okay in this game. He's obviously been on such a run for the D-backs recently. Today was a bit of a rougher go for him, and really in one particular inning, that fourth inning, where the Royals it appeared might just be out of that inning, just having scored one run in the game. Ketel Marte bobbles a potential double play ball. It allows Michael Massey to score from third base. The inning continues. A triple, a wild pitch, and suddenly the Royals have not only scored that run, they added two more runs onto that. They had a 4-3 lead at the conclusion of that fourth inning. That was pretty tough. I mean, that was a really tough moment. You figured that if Ketel makes that play, it would have been a tough play. I know on the broadcast they were talking about how it might not have been possible to turn a double play even if Ketel makes the play there cleanly. But that was a really big kind of turning point in this game where the Royals got a lot of momentum.
Yeah. And according to Craig Morgan's discussion with the Cardinals head coach, we still don't know if momentum's a real thing or not, but we do know that momentum shift back and forth in this game. Bobby Witt Jr. is just an incredible baseball player, and I am so glad to not have to play against him any longer. Not that I'm doing the playing, but glad to not watch this team have to play against Bobby Witt Jr. because that man is incredible, leads all of Major League Baseball in hits by a pretty decent amount right about now. But again, Diamondbacks just fought back in this one. Bullpen took care of business today, Jesse, for the most part, until we get down to Paul Sewald, which again, like we talked about yesterday with Kevin Ginkel, nothing can be easy for this team. Nothing can be just close the door on a victory. You had Justin Martinez. He cruised in his one inning of work. He walked one, but he gave up no hits, no runs, struck out one. Mantiply, again, one strikeout, one inning of work, zeros besides that. And then Paul Sewald in the bottom of the ninth with, not a substantial lead, 8-4. Like Paul Sewald wasn't even out there in a closed situation yet. He developed it into one. He developed it into a save opportunity, I guess. I don't know if he doesn't get that. He shouldn't get that.
He doesn't get a save for
he should not.
He should not.
It's like he tried to. But my God, Jesse, this is like it's concerning because, of course, with what Gabriel Moreno was able to do and his heroic effort, this would have been a close game had it not been for Ketel to, give them that extra cushion. But Paul Sewald, we could be looking at a very different situation here had things not been so fortuitous for the Diamondbacks there in the ninth inning.
Yeah, Ketel Marte had just an unbelievable series. I feel like, we'll talk about Bobby Witt Jr. too, and he had obviously an outrageous series and has been the hottest hitter on the planet since the All-Star break. But Ketel's homer, that was his third homer in as many games. You look at this series as a whole for Ketel, he went 6 for 12 with those three dingers, a total of 7 RBI in this game as well. A couple of walks for him as well. So Ketel continues to be, as we said yesterday, just an indispensable part of this team, the best player on this team by a pretty wide margin. And once again, a very legitimate candidate for in the NL MVP conversation. Not necessarily saying that he's the front runner in that, but he is certainly in that conversation at this point with what he continues to do, not just from the right side of the plate, Derek, but again from the left side of the plate. We saw that again with that 3-run homer there in the ninth inning.
There's some talk in the chat. Do I have the voice of God right now? Am I having some sort of double mic situation or anything?
I think people are talking about an echo, which I'm not hearing come through on my end. I think the one and only Damon Dog is working on that, trying to see if he can hear anything on his end. But you sound great to me, Derek. That's all that matters. So
that is all that matters. I'll try to stop be so booming when I speak, but it's hard to not be excited about a win like this because again, the Diamondbacks are showing that that they are fighting back. And I mean, especially like Geno had a big game today. We've heard of Geno's name being talked in trade discussions and things like that. We didn't know if he would have any value, but it feels almost like lately he's playing to stay as the starting third baseman for this team and almost trying to give the Diamondbacks a reason to not go out there and possibly trade for his replacement. The Diamondbacks right now 53-50. They are 6-0-1 in their last 7 series, dating back to their series win over the Oakland A's. They just split the 1 series with the Atlanta Braves, and they've just been playing some incredibly good baseball right now, Jesse. It's great to see.
Yeah.
It's at a very, very good time. And again, the contributions are coming from guys that have struggled, even though Corbin is still not really part of that. And I'm sure the frustration is growing with Corbin himself and with the fan base as well. But tonight, the guys got it done. And again, they got it done with the long ball. Diamondbacks hit a lot of home runs in this one, but the Gabriel Moreno's hit, probably the most important. So Gabriel Moreno is our king snake for this game. 1 for 2 coming off the bench. He had that big double and those 2 RBI that gave the Diamondbacks a lead, and then it was padded by Ketel Marte. But just a great job tonight by this team of hanging in there and then coming back late.
Yeah, it was so big. It just felt like the whole team kind of took had a collective sigh of relief when Gabby Moreno came through with that hit. It was a game where I think the D-backs were 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position entering that at bat. You had yet another opportunity with runners at first and second, 1 out in the 9th inning. And it was like, all right, here's yet another chance. If the D-backs don't take advantage of this one, it's going to feel like a pretty ugly loss. And just a really nice swing there by Gabby. I know on the broadcast they love to talk about him going to the opposite field, and he did that in a really beautiful way there. I think it was a fastball in the lower outer third of the plate, just kind of went with it to right center field, hit it a long way. And he continues, Derek, to look like just a different hitter to me ever since he's come off the injured list. Gabby Moreno has been he's been a top of the order guy for them against lefties. Torrey's been hitting him second. He hasn't been that against righties necessarily. But there's a case to be made that maybe he should be there. I know we talked yesterday about Corbin Carroll in the leadoff spot and how he hasn't, given the D-backs a ton in that spot in the lineup against righties. Gabby Moreno continues to come through in a lot of big spots ever since that IL stint that he returned from.
Well, and a big part of it, like you said, there was kind of taking what is given to him, and that was kind of his success last year. It continues to be his key to the success this year. It's just patience, and I feel like the Diamondbacks are showing that as across their starting lineup. It's the patience is translating over to getting those good pitches to swing at. It's basic, baseball 101, but like that's why it's so frustrating sometimes to be watching a baseball team like we did with this Diamondbacks team earlier in the season struggle so significantly with having any patience at the plate. Like, even if they're not being successful, you still want to see them working the count and doing, whatever they can to try to make the opposing pitcher work a little bit more, get some more information, just see some more pitches. And that is, a big reason of why they won tonight. I will also say, like you said, there was a few points where it did feel like, we were watching a team that got close, got opportunities, got runners in scoring position, but just they weren't going to get that big hit tonight. They were just going to kind of quietly go away and lose this game by a score of 4-3. And instead, 5 runs there in the top of the 9th inning, Jesse. I just still can't believe what we saw. I got up at one point after Gabby hit that double, and I started doing like what I would call what I do when I watch a horse race, and I bet on the horse and the horse is starting to win, where I start slapping like my side, like as if I'm running or I'm riding the horse a little bit. I did that to myself so hard that I kind of hurt myself a little bit in my side by hitting myself so much. But that's how excited I was to see that Gabby Moreno double. That's how exciting this 9th inning was for this team. It was an amazing night. And I will tell you this much. Gabby Moreno is a big, he's one of those guys that is the difference maker as to why they struggled early on versus their success over the last 2 months.
I feel like we have to address the camera work at the end of this game, because I cannot be the only person who thought that Salvador Perez had just hit a game tying home run
Yes.
in the ninth
Yeah.
inning.
No, you're absolutely right.
It kind of just had that look off the bat, and then the camera pans and it looks like it's just following the baseball clear into the seats in
500
left
feet.
field.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like it was gonna
500
just
feet
sail
for
into
all
the-
for all we knew, and then it just like drops, and Lourdes Gurriel is standing there, well in front of the warning track, well in
Yeah.
front of the fence. Yeah, it that was
He
quite a
didn't even have
moment,
to
Derek.
move. He was just standing, waiting for it to fall down, basically. Right. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very, very deceptive camera work, but it did make the end there more thrilling than it needed to be, as did Paul Sewald. And of course, I don't know, man. There might be a discussion there to start having. I know that the Diamondbacks are going to be looking at some potential trade targets that have experience with save opportunities and closing games. Maybe we see the Diamondbacks start to transition even before the end of the season to someone else. I mean, I still feel like they believe in Paul Sewald, and obviously Sewald is, the guy that Torrey's going to continue to go with. This one made me a little nervous. This one definitely made me nervous, but the Diamondbacks pull out the win 8-6. Again, improved to 53-50 and are now just an impressive 6-0-1 in their last 7 series. So good time to be a Snakes fan. Thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, we implore you to do so now. Sign up for notifications that way you don't miss whenever our shows go live. We try to stay on a schedule, but sometimes, breaking news happens and you don't want to miss it. So make sure you sign up for notifications. Of course, drop a like. We love it when you hit that like button. If you're listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you subscribe over there on your favorite audio podcasting app. Leave us a review. We appreciate those reviews. Those 5-star reviews definitely mean the world to us. Of course, tonight is a great night to sign up for Bet365. If you are a baseball fan, we've talked about it, but they have, of course, their baseball early payout offer for Bet365, which right now, if you're a winner, if your team goes ahead by 5 runs with an instant payout, parlay and same game parlay selections will be marked as winners, and new customers can use our code of PHNX365 to sign up and choose between 2 offers. You got to deposit $10 and you will choose either between a bet and get offer where you place a $5 bet and you will get $150 in bonus bets instantly, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place a bet up to $1,000. And if your qualifying bet loses, you will receive a matched refund in bonus bet. So download the Bet365 app now and use code PHNX365 to sign up and choose your offer and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, tomorrow is the day, Jesse. Deadpool, Wolverine, that drops. And of course, I guess I would want to say wannabe best friend, the guy that I feel like I should be best friends with, Ryne Reynolds. He's going to have a big day with his movie dropping. But of course, he's also a big part of Mint Mobile, kind of owns the thing. And Mint Mobile is, of course, here to not only rescue you from listening to me talk about how much I love Ryne Reynolds, but it's also here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone. You can take your own phone number. You don't have to change anything other than ditching your overpriced wireless plan. So right now, to get this new offer, all you have to be is a new customer and get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. That's mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on a first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And go see Deadpool and Wolverine. I got tickets, Jesse. I'm ready. I'm gonna go see it tomorrow with Megaran. But that's not what this podcast is about. That's what G-Rated is about, and we need to bring that back just so we can talk about that movie. For now, we need to talk about the count presented by Desert Financial Credit Union. Let's take a look at the numbers from this series because baseball is gonna baseball. Diamondbacks win 2 out of 3. They tie on runs scored in the series at 18. The Royals out hit the Diamondbacks 34-26. Runners in scoring position. Royals hit 316. Oh, hell yeah. Diamondbacks were 8 for 27 for a 296 RISP. Both teams' starting pitching ERA was not very good. Royals had a 6.32 starting pitching ERA to Diamondbacks 7.71, and relief pitching ERA also a little better, 3.97 on the Royals side, 4.50 for the Diamondbacks. And yeah, Piece of Yoshi says inflated ass stats from game one. That'll happen. Yeah, the Diamondbacks did lose game one by a score of 10-4, and they were out hit 15-8. But hey, this is it. This is a series. This is why baseball is so ridiculous right here. the numbers, they don't lie, Jesse. They always kind of match up, and they're always kind of funny.
I just think just the fact that the Diamondbacks were able to take 2 out of 3 in spite of the series that Bobby Witt Jr. had, like that's pretty big. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. in this series, Derek, went 7 for 12 with 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, a walk, a hit by pitch, a stolen base, 4 runs batted in, 4 runs scored. He had an 1810 OPS in the series. These are just bonkers numbers. And granted, the Royals do have a bit of a problem, which I think we saw in the series, which is that their lineup doesn't have a ton of depth outside of that. I mean, it's Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez had a really good season as well. Outside of those 2 guys, there aren't, I guess, Vinny Pasquantino, I should mention as well. He's had a good season and has a strong reputation for sure. But there's not a lot of depth to this lineup. But even so, I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. going off in the way that he did for the Diamondbacks to find a way to still win 2 out of these 3 games, that feels really huge. And on a second note, I just continue to be blown away by how good Bobby Witt Jr. is at baseball. The AL MVP race is going to be absolutely wild with what he's doing. Aaron Judge, Gunnar Henderson, the list goes on of strong candidates there. So I'm excited to watch Bobby Witt Jr. From afar the rest of the season. But I don't think the D-backs are too upset that they're not going to have to face that man the rest of the year.
No, but I think back to game one with, the bench clearing and Torrey getting tossed and how the emotions that were there. And I remember Torrey's comment saying that he would never intentionally throw at the future of the game like that, meaning Bobby Witt Jr. And Torrey has high praise for a lot of these guys, especially the best in the league. And it's amazing that happened in game one, and the Diamondbacks, kind of looked as bad as they did at times in that game. Yet, here they walk away with a series win. And it did feel like Torrey kind of going out there and doing what he did, fired the team up. I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight now that they won these last 2 games. But it feels like that was, part of the purpose besides Torrey just, losing his temper there a little bit. It definitely was to come out there and protect his guys and show them that he is not going to stand for that. When a manager does that, it's hard not to go out there and play hard for him the next day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can make the case, right? Like if Torrey doesn't go out there and get his words in and get thrown out of that game on Monday, maybe the D-backs get swept in this series, Derek. Who knows? Maybe that was the difference for them ultimately. But yeah, I mean, someone just mentioned Royals had an insanely good home record going into this series as well. So D-backs finding a way to come away with 2 wins in the series and just starting the second half on the right foot, right? They came into the All-Star break with a lot of momentum. They were playing really good baseball. And when you take 4 days off, you don't really know what it's going to look like coming out of that, right? We've seen, especially in the postseason, there's been a lot of conversation about we don't want the week-long layoff or whatever. We think that can affect our players in a negative way and get them out of their rhythm a little bit. It wasn't necessarily a given that the D-backs were going to have their rhythm going into the second half. And with a series win in Chicago that was very close to being a sweep, they weren't quite able to finish the job there. But 2 out of 3 against this Royals team, which is a very good Royals team. I mean, this is not the Kansas City Royals of the past few years. This is a team that is very much in contention in the American League, playing pretty good baseball. And the D-backs were able to steal a game from them tonight. And that's not something that it feels like we've said a whole lot of this year, right? It feels like other teams have
Yeah.
stolen games from the D-backs a whole lot more than they've been able to do that to the opposing team. So just a huge series win for them all the way around.
4-2 now, post All-Star break. I know when we spoke to a couple of guys, I spoke to like Christian Walker and things like that. Like the Diamondbacks' opinion was that the All-Star break wasn't long enough. They could have used more time to relax and recuperate. And a lot of them spent time like with family and completely away from the game. That's kind of a bonus there when you think about someone like Christian Walker that might enjoy that. Like, yes, he could have been on the All-Star, team, or he should have been on the All-Star team, or whatever case you want to make. But like sometimes having that rest and not having a bunch of your guys go to the All-Star team might not be the worst thing. Like you guys actually get a little bit of a break and then you kind of come back rejuvenated here. We've seen it with guys that have come, off the IL where, they kind of weren't right. We know Gallen at one point wasn't really right. He came off the IL. He looked fairly good. Jordan Montgomery now has a solid start. So like the rest for these guys, especially with how short their offseason was, with the way everything's been, and with the number of injuries, this team has really just like kind of had a lot going on. They've really exhausted parts of this team, and I think that the break was good for these guys. Diamondbacks now have also some pretty good reinforcement still coming on the way while they are in the middle of playing good baseball. You have Merrill Kelly on the horizon. You have Eduardo Rodriguez making his debut, allegedly, if he's a real person, on the horizon, Jesse. And I mean, considering the way that things are going right now, like this team is trending in a very good direction to be one of the hottest teams in baseball, potentially. I mean, right now they kind of are one of the hottest teams in baseball in the month of July.
They absolutely are. Yeah, I think we heard on the broadcast be now 14 out of 21 games that they've won, which I believe is the best record in baseball in that span. There's some other teams around them that have started to heat up. The Cardinals have continued to play pretty good baseball. The Mets, I know, destroyed the New York Yankees. I think that was a sweep. So
the Rockies, Jesse, they destroyed somebody today, both with their words and with their actions and a bench clearing brawl. But 20 runs they put up on the Red Sox today. I said yesterday they've been playing some good baseball, and then they go out and do this today. It's not like I'm worried about the Rockies, but baseball is baseball. Weirder shit has happened than a team that's 15 games back, like randomly finding a way how to catch up and at least be part of the pack for, a playoff spot. So who the hell knows what could happen, but I don't think
the Rockies are gonna be.
I don't want to play them right now. I don't like. We were looking forward to playing the Rockies. I'm not looking forward to playing the Rockies, at least not right now in the moment, Jesse. But there's just a lot of good things happening for the Diamondbacks right now. They're just playing really good baseball, and I mean they're getting some good pitching performances from guys at times, just enough to kind of keep the ship afloat. And I mean, Ryne Nelson, this was probably one of his worst starts this month, to be honest. And he still did a good job of at least giving this team an opportunity to win.
Yeah, it was an interesting day for Ryne Nelson. The lack of whiffs narrative kind of continues there. He only had 2 in this game. I didn't think he really had his best stuff necessarily. His fastball command was decent, but maybe not quite as pinpoint as we've seen in some of his recent outings where it's really been excellent. But he managed to keep the D-backs in this game. We mentioned what happened in the 4th inning and how, if Ketel finds a way to make a really nice play and turn that double play, maybe we're talking about 6 innings, 1 run for Ryne Nelson instead of 6 innings, 4 runs. That was a pretty big moment. But yeah, I mean, Nelson's been really good lately. I don't think you're too concerned about him going out there and giving you, allowing 4 runs over 6 innings. And as you said earlier, I mean, he might not be in this rotation all that much longer. I mean, if the Diamondbacks get those guys back from injury that they're expecting to, that might allow Nelson to shift into a bullpen role potentially down the road. And I'm still very intrigued at what that would look like. I mean, you think about his 4-seamer that's in the 95, 96 range right now, you ramp that up to 98, 99, whatever that looks like in the bullpen. He could be a weapon down there. I could see a world where Ryne Nelson is a pretty good reliever if you're kind of using him in short stints. Similar situation with Slade Ciccone, who the Diamondbacks recently converted back to just being a reliever now that he's back with AAA Reno. So he did absolutely enough to keep the D-backs in this game, and obviously they were able to come away with the win at the end.
A piece of Yoshi says Ryne finally had a middle ground outing because he's either terrible
That's true.
or great. That's very true. And I think, I mean, this is somebody else said it in the chat, but this is, who said it? We'd seen a bunch of worse outings from Ryne, so I'll take today's performance. And I agree with that. Like, again, if Ryne Nelson, if this is a bad outing for Ryne Nelson, then this is much better than the really bad outings we've seen out of him. But none of you guys don't lie. You guys are in the chat, never lie. Damon lies a lot all the time. I'm trying to warn you guys, you won't listen to me. Jesse, not really. He's kind of a truth teller, but every once in a while he likes to fib a little bit. But we know the numbers, they never lie. So Jesse, what do you have for tonight's numbers that don't lie?
Yeah, tonight's number is 1010 1.010. This represents Geno Suarez's OPS, Derek, in the month of July. Geno it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Oh, Geno!
His full slash line, I have it here, is 299, 368, 642 in the month of July. That's current after, as of the end of tonight's game. It includes a pretty good day for him where he homered and doubled. So, as we said from the top, he looks like a different hitter up there. He's starting to really punish those mistakes, and he's hitting them a long way, Derek. That was another long home run from him today. I think it was 110 miles an hour off the bat. These are not cheap shots. These are Geno Suarez, kind of throwing it back to days that are not all that far in the past, where he had about as much raw power as anyone in this game and could hit the ball a very long way. So his numbers continue to move in the right direction. And, we're about to talk about some trade candidates again here, Derek. And you and I spent some time today looking at potential infielders that could help the D-backs. And frankly, it just doesn't feel like as much of a need now that Geno Suarez has gone out and, been one of the best hitters in the game here over the last 3 weeks.
Right. And this is why baseball is ridiculous, because it's hard to kind of prove yourself when you've had a rough stretch. It's hard to get out of the hole statistically, but when you start to break things down month by month, and I'm sure if you look at his, season month over month, we've seen, at least from when he was really bad in April and May, we've seen a steady improvement, right? So like Geno has been doing things. We joked about him coming back online slowly, but he really has been, I guess, the party starter, if you will, for the offense. We're seeing a lot of the first bit of offense be like a Geno solo home run, like in today's game. And again, with the way that this offense has struggled at times, it just feels like he kind of gets things going. It helps it helps whoever's pitching for the Diamondbacks have a little bit of, run support and feel, that stability from the offense. And I mean, he's probably never going to have great numbers based on how much he struggled at one point. But like you said, he's absolutely becoming the guy we thought we were going to get, even the guy we hoped we would get. Like, the numbers are better than those projections that we saw. We also know that he's streaky, right? So like this is how things kind of even out, where you have the bad and you have the good, and then this is what you get. Hopefully Geno can stay hot and continue to help contribute to this team. And again, it does feel a little bit like, he's aware that he's not playing well, and he's aware that his job is potentially on the line. And it goes beyond that, right? Like, Geno's getting to a point in his career where if these opportunities for him might be getting fewer and farther between. So, you got to do everything you can right now to play hard. And we really saw him turn it around in a lot of different ways. Like, not only is the power back, but it felt like, once again, what I said earlier with the patience, his at-bats became way more patient over the last 2 months. And obviously that translated over to these results that we're seeing.
Yeah. He also, I mean, he's been pretty much what the D-backs were hoping to get from him, I think. I mean, maybe they envisioned, and I know Mike Hazen made comments about Geno potentially getting back to the hitter he was in 2022. Obviously, he hasn't been that guy. He was a well above average hitter for the Mariners that year. but he's still been a pretty substantial improvement over what the D-backs had at third base a year ago. Last season, D-backs third baseman combined for a 75 WRC plus at third base. 100 is league average for those who don't know. So 75 would be very, very bad. It was in the bottom 5 of the league. Might have been like number 29 if I'm remembering correctly. It was definitely toward the back end. And Geno this season, after this game, I think his WRC plus is around 90. We'll see what that number is tomorrow morning when everything updates. But there's a pretty big difference there between 75 and 90. Like it obviously was rough for him early in the season, but with how good he's been here over these last 3 weeks, which is really one of the best hitters in baseball. I mean, you're looking at pretty much the guy that we kind of expected him to be. And maybe there's still more in the tank there. I mean, if he's able to, I'm not expecting a 10-10 OPS the rest of the season necessarily. That's probably a little bit bullish. But, if he can be a 130 WRC plus guy or something like that the rest of the way, I mean, that's a huge, huge lift to this lineup. Would just add so much more depth. So he continues to just have this dramatic turnaround from where he was a few weeks ago.
It's great to see because the Diamondbacks need it. And we know, looking at the options available at the trade deadline, that there's going to be a bidding war, I feel like, for some of these guys. I feel like there's going to be a lot of teams going after players that the Diamondbacks might be interested in. And, I don't really think the Diamondbacks need to mortgage the farm at this point to improve this team. I think this team is going to still be very good. I think that they can make some, maybe some low-key acquisitions at the trade deadline that can really bolster the bullpen. But we will talk about some fantastic candidates that The Athletic and other sources have connected the Diamondbacks to. That
we're going to go a little off the rails, Derek.
Don't even really make sense, but we'll get to that here shortly. Of course, what does make sense is stopping by Circle K right now because it's America's thirst stop, and it's hot. It's hot. It's monsoony out there, so now tomorrow it's going to be all sticky and humid. You know what that means. It's going to be even hotter, so make sure to stop by Circle K. Grab yourself a Polar Pop or a Froster for just 79 cents, any size you want, between now and September 3rd. Of course, you can also fill your car up, I should say, with gas, and make sure to save as much money as you possibly can by joining the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But when you do, you'll save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. You'll save 3 cents every day after that. So get down on the Inner Circle app, get yourself a frosty beverage, and stay cool out there because it's going to be a hot one in Arizona on, what is it, Thursday? Jesse, I still don't know what day it is. I'm still very confused about how I lost 10 days of my life, but that just felt like a fever dream of me sleeping in the same bed as Jacob Franklin. Of course, shout out to Jacob, by the way, because him and I together grabbed ourselves some incredible seats like I was talking about yesterday through Game Time. It was a fantastic experience. We did save a significant amount of money. Tickets were available through the box office, and I did not buy them because they were much more expensive than what we found on Game Time. You can save up to 60% off by buying tickets last minute for any event you want to go to. Check out everything Game Time has to offer. You can save even more with exclusive in-app deals and on select seats ahead of the game or the event. You can check all-in pricing, so you do not have to get hit with those fees and everything afterwards. Just hit all-in pricing and you will see exactly what your ticket will cost you. So there's no surprises at all when you are shopping in the Game Time app. And they have their Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, so you have no worries when purchasing through Game Time. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Well, Jesse, let's get crazy. Let's get nuts with our trade deadline targets, because as much as we wanted to stay rooted in reality and in, I guess, candidates that would fit what this team is looking for and ways to improve this team, other outlets wanted to suggest that the Diamondbacks are going to go after Garrett Crochet and Cody Bellinger. So we're going to talk about him. Let's talk about him. First off, let's start with Cody Bellinger. Let's just get really insane and talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks bringing Cody Bellinger home, shall we?
Yeah, I guess.
Why? I don't know, Jesse. I don't know.
Yeah, this is if you think this is ridiculous and are wondering why are we talking about this, we blame The Athletic, which is a highly respected publication that, you know, I'm a subscriber to and love a lot of their content. They had this was a ranking, right, Derek, where they had the top 50 players who could be traded, and Cody Bellinger, of course, was one of them, which you'd expect. But what you would not expect is that the Diamondbacks were listed as one of the potential options. So we will go ahead and have a quick Cody Bellinger discussion. His numbers for the season: he's hitting 269, 331, 410, 9 homers, 37 RBI, 1.2 BWAR on the season. Cody Bellinger, as people know, when the D-backs played the Cubs, he did not play. He has been injured. However, it's obviously a big name and someone who could help the Diamondbacks, I think, but I don't really know how, Derek, because where on earth is this man going to play and how does it make sense? I don't get it.
I don't either, and I don't know when they're doing, like, we know that none of this is real, right? These are experts. They get information, they hear things or whatever, and sometimes they just make it up. But I don't know. Cody Bellinger coming home to Arizona, that's the only part that makes sense. But outside of it, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense for the Diamondbacks to swing for an addition this big. Not to mention that Cody Bellinger he's been injured, right? He's been struggling with some injuries this season.
Yeah, he has he currently has a broken finger. Went on the injured list with that a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not sure exactly when he would be back. I'm sure he'll be back at some point this season. But yeah, I mean, the last thing the D-backs need from a roster construction standpoint is another left-handed hitting outfielder, right? It doesn't really make any sense at all. I mean, I guess the only way where this would make any sense is if you were like, yeah, we're sending Corbin Carroll to AAA and we're going to leave him there for however long, and we're just going to ride it out with Cody Bellinger as our everyday right fielder, I guess, with Alek Thomas playing center. Maybe Bellinger against lefties would play center, and then Thomas sits and Randall Grichuk starts in right. Jake McCarthy, of course, would factor in there somewhere as well. The other side of this would be, I guess, if you're not bringing Christian Walker back, then Cody Bellinger, of course, plays first base as well. But that also is a little bit dicey territory because Bellinger has player options for the next 2 years. So you don't have a guarantee that he's actually going to come back next season. I think he would, given the season that he's had. It hasn't been real fantastic.
And how much money?
I'm not sure how much better he would do in the open market. He could maybe get more years, but I don't think he's going to get, I believe it's $27.5 million that he is set to make next season. So, this, no matter what way we slice this, I can't make Cody Bellinger to the D-backs really make any sense at all.
And by the way, and then 25,000 or 25 million thousand. That's what I make. 25 million player option for 2026, Jesse. I mean, yeah, like if he continues to kind of, you know, if his career continues to kind of slide, then like why would he opt out of that? That's a lot of money. And, you know, again, that's one of those situations that I don't think the Diamondbacks really want to be tied to. I don't think it would make sense for them. I don't know. I mean, sometimes this stuff is it's that maybe there is something to it, but this one doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. I still don't even looking at the guys that are on that top 50 list, what position players would really make sense for this Diamondbacks team, to be honest. I mean, I'm having a hard time finding a player that they would give up, you know, future potential stars, you know, maybe give up a Davison De Los Santos for, you know, one of these guys that I don't know if they're going to have a huge impact on what this team is doing right now.
Yeah, the one name on that top 50 list we were looking at that I was like, okay, this I could sort of see from the D-backs perspective was Isaac Paredes of the Tampa Bay Rays, who, of course, is their everyday third baseman, I believe under control for 3 more seasons. If the D-backs decided like, hey, we just want a stable third base situation for the next 3 years, that could make sense, but that the price tag there is going to be pretty high. And again, with how good Geno Suarez is hitting right now, it'd be a little weird. The timing would be very strange to go out and get an everyday third baseman and then leave Geno in kind of a limbo scenario where he's maybe just getting a couple starts a week or something like that. It doesn't feel like it would be a great use of their resources. And yeah, I mean, just looking at the infielders they have on the roster right now, it's Ketel, it's Geraldo Perdomo, it's Geno Suarez, it's Christian Walker, and Kevin Newman is really your only backup infielder right now. So if you're getting an infielder, I guess you're replacing Kevin Newman on paper. But Kevin Newman's been pretty good for the D-backs this season. It's not like he's a liability in any sense or doesn't have value. He plays against lefties and plays some second base, can move around the diamond a little bit. So to me, if the D-backs are getting an infielder, it has to be someone who is better than Kevin Newman, right? It has to be a clear upgrade over someone who is on the roster right now. And outside of a big move like an Isaac Paredes, I'm not really sure that guy is out there.
What about a right-handed hitting outfielder potentially, or a backup catcher?
I think a right-handed hitting outfielder could make sense. But that's again why Cody Bellinger, I don't understand that, because he is a left-handed hitting outfielder. But a right-handed hitting outfielder, yeah, it would still be weird. I mean, it would, in order to get a right-handed hitting outfielder, you would have to be, you'd have to be like sending Corbin Carroll down, or you'd have to be, I mean, you can't just add another outfielder onto this roster right now. The D-backs already have, Corbin Carroll, Randall Grichuk, Lourdes Gurriel, Jake McCarthy, and Alek Thomas. So, on paper, it would make sense, but I guess if you're trading like Jake McCarthy for something else, then maybe you'd want to replace him with someone who bats right-handed. Like that would sort of make sense to me. But beyond that, it's still hard to find room for someone like that on this roster.
Isaac Paredes is from Sonora, Mexico, right across the border.
There you go.
Low-key an Arizona boy.
Yeah, there you
Bring
go.
him home.
It was meant to be.
One thing I found interesting about the Athletics top 50 list is how many Diamondbacks were on there. I saw Jake McCarthy. I saw Christian Walker. I saw Jock Peterson. You're not getting any of those guys. I'm just putting that out there now.
Probably not.
The Athletic can talk about it all they want, but you're not getting any of our boys. I'm going to tell you that now. But since we're swinging for the fences, Jesse, since we're here and we're already talking about players that the Diamondbacks most likely won't get, let's talk about Garrett Crochet, shall we? Because apparently he is now kind of actually being linked to the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I haven't seen any reports of the D-backs checking in necessarily. I know Nick Bacoro, in a story that he wrote the other day, he mentioned Crochet, not necessarily as someone the D-backs had made contact regarding, but just someone who on paper kind of fits what they've been talking about. Crochet has been outstanding for the White Sox this season, going through his numbers as you see here. 111 and a third innings, a 3.07 ERA, a 0.97 whip, 12.7 Ks per nine, 2 walks per nine, a FIP of 2.32. His peripherals are off the charts. He's throwing 97 miles an hour from the left side. He might be the most dominant. I mean, he's up there with Tarek Skubal in the conversation of like most dominant left-handed pitchers in this game. He has been that good for the White Sox this season. The tricky thing with Garrett Crochet is that this is his first season as a full-time starting pitcher, at least in a long time as a member of the White Sox. And so that means that his innings limit is a pretty significant factor here. We've already seen the White Sox kind of back off a little bit. I think he threw 74 pitches in his last game. So he's not someone you can really count on as like a 6 inning per start guy the rest of the season. You're going to have to back off him from an inning standpoint. It might be more of a multi-inning relief type of a role for the rest of the year, but he does have 2 more years of club control. So you're not only getting him for the rest of this season, you're also getting him for a couple more years. And next season, and certainly the year following, he should be more built up. He should be able to be a full-time starter for you at that point, and he should be a pretty darn good one as well.
But do we need him? And is the cost going to be too high for a guy like this? Like, you'll never turn down an elite pitcher like he's proving himself to be. However, Zach Zent is absolutely right. Erod has a 0.00 ERA right now. So we don't even know what the Diamondbacks have, and we don't know how, the return of Merrill Kelly and Eduardo Rodriguez is going to impact this team as a whole. It's going to have kind of a ripple effect where Ryne Nelson and other guys are going to get moved around, potentially other roles, and this bullpen could get stronger with the addition of these guys. But at the same time, too, the Diamondbacks do have to look, I think, if they're going to look at trade candidates that's going to cost an outrageous amount, they need to look at guys like this that have years of control that are going to make this team better down the road and not just a rental. Because right now the Diamondbacks do lose some key members potentially of this team at the end of the year. There's a reason that Christian Walker has not re-signed with this team, and that reason most likely is that he is going to test out the free agency market. It doesn't mean he doesn't come back to Arizona like what happened with Lourdes Gurriel Jr., but there's pieces of this team moving on. We know Paul Sewald, his contract is up after the season, so the Diamondbacks do have to start looking at, a potential closer of the future and beyond. So I think as long as the trade, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense for this season, is a move to, improve this franchise going forward, then I'm all for it. But so far, a lot of the names that we saw outside of Kyle Finnegan on that top 50 list attached to the Diamondbacks didn't really make a lot of sense. But we will keep sifting through this pile of candidates as we get closer and closer to the trade deadline. Less than a week away now until that trade deadline, because it comes up on July 30th, right, Jesse? That's the trade deadline?
Yeah, it is Tuesday, I believe, at 6 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, we're getting pretty close there. We're gonna might have to start going through more than 2 names per episode, because we've got some more.
We got a lot of relievers. A lot of relievers to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of relievers. One other thing I want to say on Crochet real quick is
sure.
The D-backs, they have a clear need for a left-handed reliever. So this isn't just like an all-in move for the future. This meets a need that the D-backs have right now. And Garrett Crochet might be as good of a left-handed reliever as you could possibly acquire. I know we talked about Tanner Scott yesterday. He also is a very attractive option in that role, but Garrett Crochet gets every bit as much swing and miss as Tanner Scott, and he hasn't really walked anyone, whereas that's been a pretty significant issue for Scott this season. So it fills that role for this year, and then it also is a controllable starter moving forward, and that's something that Mike Hazen said in a conversation I had over the weekend. He said that they're always in on controllable starting pitching, right? Even though on paper they could bring back the same rotation that they have now next season. I mean, you think about Erod being healthy and Merrill Kelly being healthy, Zach Gallen, Brandon Pfaadt, Jordan Montgomery at this point, given his struggles, it seems fairly likely that he'll wind up back with the team next year, picking up that player option. So the D-backs don't necessarily have a ton of room in their rotation next year, but Mike told me that you can never have too much starting pitching. And I certainly wasn't surprised to hear that. We've heard that kind of thing before. And thinking about a rotation with Gallen and Merrill Kelly and Garrett Crochet and Brandon Pfaadt and Eduardo Rodriguez and, Jordan Montgomery maybe factoring in there too, you can get really excited about that group going into 2025.
6-man rotation, Jesse. 6-man rotation. Bring Yilver up. Let's do a 7-man. Let's get crazy with it. Let's do whatever we want. Of course, we thank you guys, of course, so much for being here. We thank the Diamondbacks for being awesome and winning tonight's game by a score of 8-6 over the Royals, taking that series 2 games out of 3. Drop a like before you get out of here. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, the man on the 1s and 2s tonight is the people's producer himself, Damon. Make sure to follow him at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. We are Damon's Dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX_D-backs, but of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. This was a fun one. We thank you guys for stopping by. We'll be back tomorrow.
Derek, I think we got a couple super chats to get through here
Oh,
before we
did we?
wrap up.
I
if
don't
I'm not
see those
mistaken.
on my end. Why don't you handle those, Jesse?
Yeah. So we have Rattlebacks says it was a no doubter. Ketel is more reliable than a RAV4. Give that man his due, MVP. There we go. Thank you, Rattlebacks. We very much appreciate it. We also have, as Derek unveils his absolutely massive.
No.
Where did you get this from again, Derek? This was at the Home Run Derby.
This was at the Home Run Derby. They were just giving these away. No free ads, but I'm just saying. Anyway, what else we got?
Our other super chat from our pal Piece of Yoshi says a win after we trail 4-3, having gone 0-4 with runners in scoring position, getting a clutch hit after a runner is at second and a Ketel homer. Where have we seen that?
I remember that. I watched that episode. I saw that episode. Well, we thank you guys for your wonderful super chats. We appreciate you guys so much. We thank you so much for being here. Of course, make sure to join us tomorrow. We have a 1 p.m. show tomorrow, and then we will be back with post-game shows on Friday and Saturday. So make sure to hit that like button before you get out of here. We appreciate you guys again for stopping by. Have a wonderful evening, and then come back here tomorrow, 1 p.m. Let's have some lunch together. Have yourself a wonderful evening, though. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you score 5 runs in the top of the 9th inning.
We all silly like the mayor.